My name is Badri Lakur. I'm originally from India, but I'm American. We've lived in the US for about 20 years. So Indian Americans is the phrase that we use. Um, I originally went to the US for my master's education. I have a double master's, a Master of Science and an MBA. And I was working in the technology space for a long time, over 15 years. Uh, did a number of different roles in that field. Got bored of it. Decided to start my own small business. So I was doing that for about 7 years before selling that business and moving to Portugal about 3 years ago. What brought me to Portugal is mainly personal family reasons. Um, so, being originally from India, my family is in India, and we also have family and friends in the US. And traveling from the US to India was just takes too long. So we were looking for a number of years for a place that would be easier to travel east or west. And Portugal was perfect in that aspect because it's equidistant going to the US from here or going to India. The toughest lesson I had to learn is regarding my business. It's a lot of processes dealing mainly with the banks. So after I incorporated my business, I was trying to apply for loans and leases and just navigating that entire process, the documents required, and in many cases having to physically go to the bank to sign documents in this day and age when there are a lot of apps and online processes that can be used to simplify things. There was still many cases where I had to physically go meet, talk to people, sign documents. So it did take a lot of time and effort on my part. And all throughout the time, I was thinking, it would be much easier if this would be simplified or if this could be done online. So yeah, those are some of the. It's simple to say, but it's a day-to-day thing that adds up over time. And just following up on that point, I think what would have really helped me navigate the launch of my business is to have somebody that I can trust and I can depend on to interface with banks or other third parties, to help complete all these tasks and navigate all these processes. So, as an example of the one of the challenges that I faced, it happened recently, where I was trying to cancel my the credit card reader that I had from the bank. So I called up the person that I was in touch with regarding business loans, and this was a branch in Almansil in Algarve. So they told me, hey, you can just go to your local branch, return it, no problem. And so the next day I went to try and do that. And the person at the bank said, oh, no, we can't do it over here. You have to call customer support. And so I said, oh, but these guys told me I could return it. And they insisted that I had to call customer support. So when I called customer support, they again told me, oh, you can take it to any branch and return it. So just going back and forth and trying to navigate these. So I went back to the branch, spoke to another person, and then finally managed to figure out everything. So it's like duplication of efforts. So these kind of things that can be streamlined would be really helpful. What surprised me in a positive way here in Portugal is just the people willing to help go above and beyond. Basically, it's not a transactional relationship. Whereas in the US, I felt that whether business or work, when you're interfacing with people, it feels like a transactional relationship. Whereas here in Portugal, I think it's a lot more, it's at a higher level, the interaction that you have with different folks. It could be business, it could be personal, and that adds a lot of value. So, yes, we have faced challenges over here, but building that relationship with people, I think, really helps longer term and helping with navigating issues that you may have. We found always, the local folks have been very helpful with helping us accomplish certain tasks and things like that. So for me, outside of work and business, the best thing that I enjoy here in Portugal is the weather. Allows us to spend a lot more time outdoors. So my favorite Portuguese phrase is "mais ou menos." I think it typifies the Portuguese culture environment that we so enjoy right now. Is, you know, will things happen at this time? More or less, it'll happen, and that's something that we have now adjusted to and we enjoy. So, if I were to describe starting a business here in Portugal with one word, it would be challenging.
Hi, my name's Lavanya. And prior to moving to Portugal, I was in the US for about 20 years. Here in Portugal, I live and work here in Portugal, and it's a remote work in the pharmaceutical industry. Okay, so the first challenge for relocating here, I would say, was convincing family and friends that we were quite serious about this decision, and it wasn't taken lightly. Also, we have a teenage kid, so it took a little bit of convincing for her also to want to leave her friends behind, and move out here. But we tried to focus on the positives, the fact that we were looking for a place that would allow us to be able to visit family both in India as well as in the US, try to be in a place that is culturally and socially really well connected and well grounded. So we wanted to be in a place like that. We wanted to bring up our child in a place like that. So um, I think, yeah, I think we achieved it. Okay, so I would say the first challenge, the biggest challenge for us when we decided to move to Portugal was convincing our family and friends that we had not taken this decision lightly, and explaining to them our reasons for taking that decision. I think the toughest lesson for me is women's health issues, because just around the time that we moved here to Portugal was when unbeknownst to me, looking back now, I realized was that I started my journey into perimenopause, and our daughter was on her own journey into puberty. And so we were in for some really rocky times. Um, and what I started to realize as I started exploring that space is that this is a very challenging area. Women's health issues in general are really challenging areas anywhere in the world. But one of the things that really surprised me is when we went in for help for our daughter for really heavy periods, painful cramps, etc. And I was looking to see if someone could help us with an IUD device or something like that that would have been easily done in the US. The doctors there are not worried about using such tools to help teenagers with heavy periods, etc. What I found here in Portugal was that the thinking is still a bit patriarchal, and they refuse to do the procedure for a teenager. And I was informed that it's only done after you've had a baby. So that was a hilarious, but also not so hilarious sort of a scenario that I had to face here. I really enjoy the weather, being active. I don't think I have been as active as I am here ever before. Yeah, so we were out for a walk the other day with our dog, like we normally do. We do like 2-3 times a day. We were out for a walk in the afternoon, and we see this old lady neighbor outside. We just moved into this house here in this neighborhood. So we say hi to her. She says hi back, and then she's like, "Are you guys new here?" And we were saying, "Yeah, we just moved in." And she goes, "This street here, esta rua é picata." And that was a new word for us. And we weren't sure what exactly she said. And we were like, "Oh, obrigada, this, that." We were just trying to be polite and just, and also not really say that we don't know enough to be able to say enough in Portuguese back to her, etc. But we moved on, and then we were trying to think back. What did she say? What was the word? Picada? And my husband's like, picada is like minced. And I'm like, no, 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 that's not right then. Maybe it's picata. And then we were like, what's picata? And we were trying to translate it on DeepL and find out. And it turns out it's spicy. And she's like, this street is a spicy street. You're going to find out. And we didn't realize that that's what she was saying. But we found that super hilarious that she would say that to us, freshly moved in, new neighbors. That's the first thing she says to us. But it's going to be a very interesting experience, I guess. We'll find out. Interesting question.
Yeah, I think it did cause some, I wouldn't say conflict, but maybe debate, I think would be the best word. Because originally my idea, we were thinking about this move to Portugal for a long time, but it was going to be
Much
in the
later.
future after
Yes.
our daughter goes off to college, and we were going to take early retirement and then find a place to move to in Portugal. But because of a number of reasons with work and with personal issues and with Lavanya's health
And COVID.
we sort of accelerated that move. And that was more her decision, whereas I wanted to stay in the US for longer. And so
and looking back now, I also think it might have been because of my perimenopause as well. I think in a way that was also kind of influencing my desire
to move sooner rather than later. Yeah, and kind of put down roots and start settling in. So there was that little bit of conflict between us, but I wouldn't. Yeah, it was. I'd say, yeah, we debated it, but it was fairly. I mean, it was fairly easily and quickly resolved. Like, yes, we have to do this now. Okay, let's do it.
Yeah. So we weighed the pros and cons, and it worked out eventually. So.
So we have a 15-year-old daughter now. She was 12 when we
made the
moved
move,
from the US to Portugal, and yes, I think in many instances or in many ways this move was a lot more difficult for her than
rather
for
than
us.
for us. Yeah.
She was just about to enter puberty, and as mentioned in an earlier question, um, she was leaving her friends that she had grown up with for the 12 years before. So it was a big change for her.
Definitely, I would say, like, initially she had a lot of meltdowns. The first year that we were here, the school curriculum was a lot tougher than what she was used to in the US. She was an A plus or A grade student in the US, so she was worried about her grades, coming down, because of the fact that the lessons and the curriculum was a lot more challenging here. She was also, she's a very shy kid, so she struggled with making friends in general. So she, for that first year, was worried about that also, like finding her group, and being able to find really good friends was a big issue for her. And yeah, a lot of those insecurities and fears and all of those things were really weighing down on her quite heavily the first year of the move. But I would say, we tried to be positive for her. We tried to support her as much as we could. We did actually, in that first year, find a counselor for her. So she has that psychological support as well. And that really helped quite a lot in getting her to get in touch with her own feelings, manage those feelings better, in a more positive manner instead of having meltdowns. And also, eventually, she made a lot of friends in school. And now, 3 years later, she has gotten to a point that we even didn't imagine seeing her in back home in the US, where, given that she's such a shy, reserved sort of kid, we didn't expect her to go and enroll in band on her own. She auditioned for it on her own earlier this year, last year rather. She was in band last year. She coordinated with her friends and was singing for the graduation day towards the end of the year, with her friend group. I mean, she has started to be a lot more outgoing and more open and more expressive kid now. So